know what I'm talking about? Baby moms, you know what we are, right? God is universe and God is earth. They were looking out.
Oh, next door.
Real. If you can't pass, them ladies are.
I'll be next door.
Okay.
Next door.
I don't know. I've never taught a man a woman wellness class for men. That's interesting.
You're not gonna change it.
Huh?
You're not gonna change it.
I mean,
You wanna know.
I'm not gonna change it.
You wanna know as far as the woman. Same thing you were talking about. You just wanna know.
So we got
The first
experience, we
thing,
got concerns and questions for you.
You know?
I guess the first thing to explain is probably the anatomy of the womb, because I realized that obviously a lot of women don't even know the anatomy of their womb, so men probably don't know the anatomy of the womb either. So, I mean, there's so many different components to the womb. I should have I don't have a diagram at the moment, but so what most people are familiar with is like the outer area, so like the lips and the clitoris, and then obviously the part that intercourse occurs in is the vaginal canal. The vaginal canal is not endless, of course. The vaginal canal ends where the cervix begins, and the cervix is also the part of the womb that they talk about that dilates and opens up. You've ever heard about pregnant women and they dilate and open up, so the cervix is naturally very tiny, like a very tiny slit, like probably even smaller than like the crescent moon, like a slit that small. And it opens up twice a month usually for a woman when she's on her menstruation, and also when she's fertile it opens up. Other than that, it remains closed. And then when she's pregnant, it opens up. When she gets further into pregnancy, it starts to dilate all the way till it gets to about like 10 centimeters, so big enough to fit a baby's head out of naturally. And then right on top of the cervix is the uterus. The uterus is where pregnancy occurs. Like that's where the egg and the sperm. Dren, you're interrupting my class. That is where the egg and the sperm go, and that's where they implant that. So when we really think, it looks like a woman's stomach is pregnant, or that pregnancy occurs inside the stomach and stuff like that, but it's really inside the uterus, and the uterus, the womb is in the lower abdomen area anyway, but that's where the baby is at. It's in the uterus, but it just starts to, as it gets bigger, it just takes up more space. That's why you can see it all over her belly and stuff like that. And then other than the uterus, there's the fallopian tubes and the ovaries. The ovaries are what produces the egg, so that's what makes a woman fertile. Without ovaries, a woman cannot conceive because there would be nothing there to create eggs. Huh?
I think we want to know too, like when the woman could give birth, you have a name for it.
Ovulation?
Yeah, like we want to know that too.
When she's fertile?
Because it's a time of the day where a woman she's fertile.
Mm-hmm.
It's a time of the day where you could have sex with her one time, and that time was that time. And since she's pregnant, you could have sex with her for like a year, and then she don't get pregnant because it was not that time. So some women don't even know their time of the year that they are fertile, and some do, and they trick you. Some don't. But someone who's smart, they know when they're fertile because it's trick for protection on you.
You gotta track that because every woman is different, right?
Yeah, well, every woman's cycle is different. I mean, her cycle is gonna tell her when she's fertile. Ideally, on average, if a woman has a regular cycle, she's fertile 2 weeks after she finished bleeding. So after the last day of her period, anywhere between 7 to 14 days after that, ovulation occurs and the egg is released. But the egg, people think this is how you know that the system is meant to kill us, because women get on birth control so that they don't get pregnant. When the egg is released, the egg is released out of the ovary. And then from the ovary, the fallopian tubes, those two tubes, so you know how this symbol is for the womb. So those two tubes catch the egg. So the tubes catch the egg, and then the egg waits inside the fallopian tube to be fertilized by the sperm. And then if it gets fertilized, it then makes its way down to the uterus and begins to implant in her uterus to start pregnancy. Now, so as far as like that, the egg only will stay in the fallopian tube for 24 to 48 hours before it just begins to dissolve. So throughout a woman's cycle, she's literally only fertile for 24 to 48 hours. Dream. He's trying to listen. I don't like people that disrupt my class. I'm gonna kick you out. But so yeah, so it's only 24 to 48 hours within a month span if a woman has a regular cycle. The average cycle, they say, lasts about 28 days, anywhere from 27 days to 32 days. Cycle day 1 beginning the first day she starts bleeding, and it doesn't come back again till the first day she starts bleeding again. With an average woman's cycle, she has a regular cycle, it's about anywhere between 28 to 32 days. Some women nowadays, because of all the stuff that's going around, hormonal imbalance and all the things that we eat, don't have regular cycles. So for a woman like that, it would be a little bit harder to tell. But one thing that men could do is men could tell when a woman is fertile also, if they really actually wanted to know. And one way is by her discharge. You know that a woman's discharge changes really daily, but during certain periods of the cycle it's known to be different. So from her menstruation, she doesn't really have much discharge, it's just blood. After the menstruation, it's usually a few days after that, it's usually like a dry period, not much discharge can be noticed. Then when she gets to her fertile phase, the discharge that is fertile for a woman is, to me, resembles the texture of semen. So it's stretchy. They call it egg white cervical mucus because it's the texture of egg white. So gooey, stretchy. If you grab it and you say you put your finger and you got some up there, you could stretch it apart and it won't break. That's how you know. Yeah, that's how you know when a woman is in her fertile phase. Now, unless she's having hormonal imbalances, she will usually only have that fertile cervical mucus when she's fertile. Though I have seen a case where a woman potentially was not fertile but was having fertile cervical mucus. And I mean, everyone's womb is different. That could have been for any type of reason, but that's one way for a man to be able to tell off rip. Usually when a woman is having that type of mucus, her body is preparing to release the egg, and that's like one of those warning signs because the cervical mucus changes to that texture, so that is ideal for semen to survive because it's similar to the texture of the semen. Because when she has sticky, because our discharge goes from that to it could sometimes be creamy, like lotion. It sometimes can be more watery, and it sometimes can be more sticky. And then when she's having infections, it can get crazy, different types. But those are more irregular discharges than anything else. So like lotion-like, creamy, sticky, and then that fertile cervical mucus are all regular cervical mucuses regular discharges for the womb. So like all the other ones, it would be harder for sperm to survive in and move naturally. Like if her discharge is sticky, chances are the sperm can't travel like it could inside the fertile cervical mucus because it's harder for it to move because the discharge is more sticky, like tacky, so it's kind of getting stuck, so it can't get to where it needs to go. And when a woman is fertile, if you did plant your seed in a woman, there would be no way to take it back. She can't wash it out because it goes up once you plant it. It goes up and it goes inside of that tiny slit in the cervix. So once it's in there, unless it didn't get in there. Otherwise, if her cervix is not open, then it does not go into the cervix. It just is there. And for women, we can't have sex too frequently. Our partners cannot plant the seed too frequently. It'd be ideal if they only planted the seed as in coming in us when we are fertile, because other than that, it's just adding bacteria to the womb, and the womb is already full of bacteria. The womb is similar to like the mouth. It's like tissue, just kind of like similar to the tissue that's on the side of our cheeks, you know, but it's different in texture because the womb naturally has like little ridges in it and stuff like that. But yeah, so that's that. Is there anything else you want to know?
So it's normal for a woman's cycle to follow the moon cycle?
Yeah. That's pretty normal. I say that if a woman has a regular cycle, it's not always gonna stay that way. Like sometimes I have a regular cycle, so usually like on the 28th day for me personally, or the 27th day, and it's like, but because the way the moon is set up, the way the calendar is set up, it'll always change. Like right now, I've been ovulating with the full moon. But by the time we get to summertime, I'll be ovulating with the new moon and bleeding with the full moon. So it'll change just because of the cycle. But a lot of women will notice, some people say that a woman, her fertile time is when she's ovulating with the new moon. But then again, I know a lot of women who told me that they got pregnant with the full moon. You know, so it's really just dependent, but it can follow the moon, and what part of the moon is in could also tell the woman some things about herself in the moment. Like, you know.
A man can always change that, right?
What you mean?
A woman's cycle.
He can
right?
change it.
He can change it, right?
How? Like, you mean if he gets her pregnant?
No, as far as, let's say you have your cycle.
Uh-huh.
Right? You can track your cycle, it's been consistent.
Uh-huh.
You meet a man, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're feeling the man, and all those emotions, right? The happiness, the experience that you're having with this person, and then having sex with them, that fluctuates your hormone balance, doesn't it? Would that just shift your cycle? All types of crazy? Because, you know?
I guess I would say that it could, though I've never heard of a case where that has happened. I suppose if it was the optimal time, but it would have to be a certain type of communication that goes on, because the communication so the woman is already in a flow in a cycle, so it's like, the only reason why she ovulates is because communications are sent to the brain. Soon as the last day of her period, communication is being sent to the brain for her to begin, her body to prepare releasing the egg. So it is possible, however, I guess, I wouldn't rule it out, that she could meet a man, sparks could be flying, and an egg could be released early, you know? But I don't know. That would be interesting. I never thought of it that way. That would be very interesting. But yeah, so I would think that maybe it's possible. Maybe I say. But yeah, I mean, 9 out of 10, you're gonna. It could. I mean, I guess if she's about to be fertile anyway, I don't see why not. You know, for the egg could be released early. A lot of women don't know when the egg is releasing, period. Like, a lot of women don't know their cycle. So it would be hard to tell, but then also it could just be like fate, or you could just meet her on the right day. You know, that would be irregular, but things like that happen. I've had times where my period was supposed to come like around a certain time, and then it would not come. It would like hold off and wait for like something significant to happen in the star and the moon. Like, it's like my period was due a week before the full moon came, but it decided to wait 5 days until the full moon comes to come. And it's like, oh, okay, you just do what you want to do. I understand. You know, so things like that, I suppose really could happen, you know, because I have noticed that in myself. What else? Oh, so I wasn't finished telling you. So the cervical mucus, also, so the fact that her cervix opens up. So another thing about the cervix is that the woman's cervix actually moves up and down. So when she's fertile, her cervix moves up. So that it's basically the optimal time for sex. The cervix moves up so that there's more, her vaginal canal is longer. and it opens up so that the sperm can go in, and it's also softer. So you could actually, like, I mean, if you have your woman, or if you were a man, because some women like that type of thing, and you wanted to not get tricked by a woman, you could stick your fingers in there and be able to tell if she's fertile, like, or not, based on almost like if the slit is open, if it's super high up, if it's low. But you have to know that woman also to know her womb, because naturally every woman's womb is not built the same. So I think it has a lot to do with body structure. So taller women probably have longer vaginal canals than shorter women, you know, and stuff like that. So, but for you to know, you would have to know, because you've never been in there before, so everything might feel soft if you put your finger in there. So you might not be able to tell like what's soft versus what's firm, because even when it's firm, it's not hard like a golf ball, but it is harder than this. They describe it as when the cervix is firm, it's like the chin, like the tip of the chin, and when it's soft, it's like the lips when they're pushed out, and that's how they would describe it. So that's one way that you could notice. So that's another way that you could notice. So between the cervical mucus and the cervical position and stuff like that, you yourself could be able to tell if a woman is fertile or not. And you can make your own decision of if you want to clench your seed or not. You know,
I missed that.
If they knew that and they actually took advantage of that information, they could not get women pregnant that they don't want to get pregnant. You know, but I guess still have sex if that's what they want to do. You know, but you know, but just to know.